All right, everyone, welcome to Brandon at Random Reviews. I am Brandon Griffiths. I guess I could say I'm the host of this show. I feel like it's kind of weird to say that, so maybe I won't. So today I am going to be incorporating in some feedback that I received from a friend of mine. Some of it was stuff that I should have realized without having somebody tell me, and some of it was stuff that, it was stuff I didn't even think about. It was just, because basically, I felt like I was all over the place with the first episode, and I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in again and giving me another chance. So the big thing I want to do this week is I want to first kind of dive in a little bit for just to explain who I am. I guess I should say I like movies. I'm a big fan of movies. I'm kind of like that guy in my family or, whatever you want to call it, circle, that I love movies, and, I tend to know a lot about movies off the top of my head. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I'll borrow from a podcast I love called James Bonding, and they always say in regard to James Bond, they are lovers, not experts. They do not act like they are hot shit and they know everything about James Bond. They like to know little tidbits and factoids and different things like that. I think that you could probably consider them experts, but they just don't want to be labeled as such. So what I want to talk about today, I'll get into it in a little bit, but what I first would like to really bring up is something that I'm noticing, and this is not really movie related at all. And I do this, and I notice that, basically almost everyone I know seems to do this, which is they try and, if I start saying something, it's like people have this compulsion to finish the thought before I can finish what I'm saying. They want to get there before I get there, and it's like they act as though, I don't know if it's that they think that I'm not sure what I want to say, or if it's that they really just want to be right about something. I really tend to think it's the latter, but and so what I want to say is just stop doing that. Stop trying to finish my sentence before I can finish it. You know what I mean? If it starts to be like I'm trailing off and I'm not saying anything, then okay, maybe say something, maybe say, are you talking about this? Or do you mean to say this? Or, but don't make it a big deal of I've got to say what you're going to say and I'm going to be right about it. And that's the way it is, that's what I'm perceiving it as. And I kind of have a feeling that is what it is. But, regardless, I wanted to throw that idea out there. And I also have one other little nugget to mention before I start with the actual episode. I thought something in my head today, which was that something looked cute as shit. And I find it weird, our English language, I say something something is cute as shit, and it is, I am emphasizing how cute that thing is. You know what I mean? Oh, she looks cute as shit in shorts. Okay. But when I dissect cute as shit, that it sounds like I'm saying that it's a very bad thing. I'm saying that it has no business being considered cute at all. It's so not cute that it's cute as actual shit, So I don't know where that came from. I don't know if other people say that, but I just wanted to point out how weird the English language can be. Okay, so moving on to the actual meat of the episode, so to speak, and this is pretty much a brand new format. I've never, so what happened was I recorded my first episode, and I uploaded it, and then I shared it with everybody on Facebook, all my Facebook friends, and when I did that, I I felt like I was on a roll, and I was like, I should, capture this energy, and I should record a whole bunch of episodes, So I recorded 3 more episodes, and I hadn't even gotten any feedback on what I was doing right or wrong in this whole, podcast thing. So I recorded these 3 extra episodes that now maybe I'll just save them and release them as little, bonus episodes or something. But for the most part, they're kind of all over the place. And what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to stick to my guns and just talk about what I want to talk about and be more in depth with what I'm talking about and actually have researched stuff to a certain degree. So what I want to talk about today is there's a franchise of movies called the Mission Impossible movies. They are on number 7 right now, maybe number 8, I can't remember. Anyway, I want to talk about the first 2 Mission Impossible movies today. And so I'll start off and I'm going to speak about one, and then I'll speak about the first one, and then I'll move on to the second one. I'm trying not to blend too many thoughts together because it could just muddle my points. And so we've got Mission Impossible 1, which was released in 1996, and it was based on the TV show from, I believe, the 1960s is what I read. I think I've seen bits and pieces of that show. I especially remember an episode where they were making, a guy was trapped in a room and had to make a mask or something. It was very, I had already seen the movies, so, I knew that was, a thing, but, that shit would have blown my mind if I had not seen any Mission Impossible movies up to that point. So, as I mentioned, I think 1996. So here's the thing. Okay, so it's this Mission Impossible idea. It's Mission : Impossible. This mission can't be done. It takes this special group of agents or this one particular agent to come in and actually do what needs to be done to accomplish this. They always talk about it. The IMF is what the agency is called, and I just found out for the first time. I think I had never heard of this before. The IMF stands for the Impossible Missions Force. Yeah. Let that one sink in. It's pretty bad. It's pretty stupid if you ask me. I just can't get there. It's you couldn't come up with something any better than just that. All right, whatever. So these movies feature Tom Cruise. He's in all of them. He plays the main character, Ethan Hunt, which is it's a solid name, by the way. That's a solid. I don't know about secret agent name, but just character name in general. So Tom Cruise, I kind of have a love-hate thing with Tom Cruise because I haven't always hated Tom Cruise. And at one point, I was on this fucking bender when I was a kid, trying to see every Tom Cruise movie ever made. And I even went so far as to thinking the movie Cocktail was actually a good movie. Apparently it was not, and I'm not going to revisit it because I don't care that much. And like I watched, Risky Business, Top Gun, shit. Oh, Days of Thunder. I mean, like all of these movies that are just like, what's going on here? Like, I mean, this guy's great. He's in everything. He's in all these great movies, and I just can't get enough of him. And I keep renting these different movies. And a movie of Tom Cruise's I don't care for is called The Color of Money, which is odd because it's a Martin Scorsese picture, and it is also it has Paul Newman in it, who I can honestly take or leave. Like, I've never been a big Paul Newman fan at all. Like, I just don't think he's that great. But like, The Color of Money was a movie about a guy who plays pool, like billiards, and like it was a sequel to a movie Paul Newman was in oh shit, I want to say it was like 61 maybe, or like, I'm just spitballing here, but it's not really relevant. I didn't look this up for this podcast in advance because I didn't even think to. But anyway, it was a much older movie. It was in black and white, and then they came out with this movie, and then I think it was the 80s. It was definitely the 80s, and they released it, and it was like a sequel. Like, they come out with a sequel to this fucking old ass movie. So apparently this has been going on with these fucking sequels that everybody wants to make 35 years after they fucking were popular. Whatever. My issue with Cruise is I don't even think he's a bad actor. I don't have anything against his acting ability, because actually I think he probably is a good actor. But the issue I have is that he's a wretched human being. Like, he's like the fucking poster child for Scientology. And I mean, say what you want about whatever, Scientology is awful. Like, it is, the creator of Scientology was a science fiction novelist who, I believe, said something to the effect of starting a religion being the easiest way to make money. He was, I believe, quoted in saying that, but you'll have to do your own research on that one, because I don't want to look up L. Ron Hubbard and the things that he said. So you take Tom Cruise, and like, he does well here. He does what I call frustrated acting. Like, he just acts like he's just so worked up all the time, and like, he's never just being, for the most part, like a normal dude, and it's a bit much for me to take in. I mean, I should probably talk about the cast before I really dive into the subject matter of this movie. There's like a one or two popular names, and then some that are like kind of iffy. I'm not going to talk about like some of the actresses or actors that are people I've never seen in anything else, because I just don't care. I mean, or if I have seen them in something else, it was so minuscule that I don't even remember what it was. But Jon Voight is in this movie. Jon Voight was the two movies I think of when I think Jon Voight are Deliverance and Anaconda, if you can believe that. He is in the movie Anaconda. He's doing, I believe it's a Portuguese accent, or at least his interpretation of one. And the movie is a barrel full of laughs. If you haven't seen it recently, go back and watch it and just see how terrible the movie Anaconda is. It's got Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube and early Owen Wilson and just a couple of others. I think maybe Eric Stoltz was in that one. I can't remember. Jon Voight's a good actor. Deliverance, if you've never seen Deliverance, I'm going to spoil Deliverance. I'm not going to spoil these Mission Impossible movies as much as I can avoid it. Deliverance is a movie that I didn't know anything about. I had only heard that it was like a classic, like it was a really good movie. And so I went and rented Deliverance and I watched it. And there is a scene, and it is the only scene anybody ever talks about from Deliverance other than the dueling banjos scene, where Jon Voight and Burt Reynolds' character get cornered in the woods by two redneck hunters who attempt to and subsequently do rape one of the two of them, like, pretty fucking bad. It's a lot to take in when you're like 13 years old and you're like expecting just like an adventure movie or something, and then you get Deliverance. But suffice it to say, that's the pivotal moment in the movie. And I can't really suggest that you watch it if you've never seen it, because it's just really, it's nothing special to me. Another person in this movie is Jean Reno, who is French, as you might assume. He was great in the movie The Professional. I will recommend The Professional. It's also known as Leon the Professional. And it's got, like, super young Natalie Portman in it. Like, she's a little kid in the movie. And basically, like, Jean Reno plays this hitman, and he has to, like, teach this girl how to do stuff, and it's pretty fucking awesome, honestly. Like, if anything, it's great for the final act of the movie. Like, it's fucking great. And Gary Oldman's also in it as a bad guy, as he should be. 9 times out of 10, he should be a bad guy. So, you know, the other movie I know Jean Reno from is the 1998 classic Godzilla with Matthew Broderick and that girl that you'll never remember the name of, and neither will I. I'm trying to think if there's any... I mean, I know I've seen Jean Reno in other movies, but, like, nothing jumps out at me as, like, movies of his, so I'll move on. But, like, okay, so we got Ving Rhames, okay, great, really like Ving Rhames. Don't really know a lot of movies he's in other than Pulp Fiction, and I mean, he plays Marcellus Wallace in that movie. And it's kind of a bit part, you know. He's not like a major character. He's definitely like super supporting. And the other movies I can think of when I think of Ving Rhames are other Mission Impossible movies, including both of the ones I will be talking about today. So, and then the last one I want to mention is Emilio Estevez, the Mighty Duck Man. Yes, that's a Night of the Roxbury reference, and if you don't understand it, you can probably just YouTube the scene where they talk about the Emilio Estevez story, and yeah, but I like him in the Mighty Ducks movies. I think I haven't seen them I've seen the first one more recently, but like the second two I have not seen in forever, like since they originally came out on video, I think. And so another one that Emilio Estevez is in is Maximum Overdrive, which was Stephen King's one and only directorial debut for a movie. It was his debut, and it was his last, I should say. So it was notoriously terrible. It's got quite a cult following, but it's not a good movie, guys. It's a bad fucking movie. And the other movie I think of with Emilio Estevez is one called Free Jack, which was covered on the podcast How Did This Get Made? And Free Jack, I can't really exactly remember what the idea of that movie was. Like, I remember it was basically like, like something to do with swapping with somebody when they're about to die. And, if they're, God, I can't even fucking remember. It's so bad though. It's such a stupid fucking movie. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Okay, so I talked about Cruise and how I'm not a huge fan of his acting necessarily all the time, but he's not terrible. The thing that it's a theme in both movies, but like this first movie, you see it firsthand, and like I think it's done better in this movie because it's not overdone in this movie. And so they do masks. So like they'll have like these prosthetic masks that they put on, and they are like stuck to their face, and they're made to look like another person completely. So like, for instance, like let's say, I'm just going to name two actors, like let's say, oh, perfect. Edward Norton, let's say he was wearing a mask of Brad Pitt, okay? And the thing is with that, like, okay, in this Mission Impossible movie, in all of these movies that they use this trope, they don't really, like, they don't capture the fact that, like, the mask would look weird. Like, you would never be able to convince anybody that Edward Norton actually was Brad Pitt wearing a Brad Pitt mask, because if he's wearing a Brad Pitt mask, it looks odd, like it's gonna look like your face is gonna be bigger on average than what what the face should be that you're trying to emulate. And so, I mean, these movies, it's like they just kind of use camera trickery to like remove the mask, and like, obviously they just have the actor who the mask is supposed to be of play until they go to take their mask off, and it's like, oh, big reveal, it wasn't them, and like, but it's an annoying thing to me in these movies. Like, I used to think it was really cool when I was younger, and I didn't like think about it on that level of like, what is this? Like, why does this happen? Like, they would never be able to trick anybody. I mean, like, you would know something at the very least was up if you saw somebody wearing a mask and they were just trying to be somebody else, like, I mean, it's insane. So I put the word gadgets in my notes. Gadgets, plural, is very generous. I would say, for the most part, the biggest gadget item is Emilio Estevez gives Tom Cruise a stick of gum that is like green at one end, red at the other end. And so it looks like a stick of half spearmint, half Big Red. And when you fold it in half and mash it together, it becomes like, like it's a plastic explosive. It will explode. Like, it starts the timer on the bomb, so to speak, when you mash the two ends together. So it's kind of a cool little idea, it gets used a little bit here and there, but like, for the most part, like, actual gadgets, like, there's nothing super James Bondish beyond that in this movie. So there's a lot going on in this movie that I have a problem with, but I want to start, like, before I really get into the plot at all, which I don't want to give up too much information on. I used to love this movie when I was a kid. I watched it all the time, and I like couldn't get enough of it. I thought it was so cool, and like, the funny thing about it is like, a lot of the plot doesn't like it's what we call what people in the film business call Deus Ex Machina, which means like basically like plot conveniences, like not necessarily plot holes, but like things that it's like they would have to really, really be conveniently timing some stuff to make it work. And like they just, so it's like, it was brought up, like I watched the review that Siskel and Ebert did of this movie when it came out, and they both gave it thumbs up, but they also commented, like, despite it being a very exciting movie with a lot of intense scenes and stuff, they basically just suggested that the plot of the movie, like, if someone just tried to straight up tell you what was going on in the plot of this movie, they would probably not be able to actually enunciate everything that happens. Like, it's just, there's a lot of confusing shit going on, and like, it's not just like dumb people can't figure out what it, like, it's actually like that. Like, there are things that are like, holy shit, how did that happen? Why did that happen? So we start off this story with, you know, you've got, you're kind of like setting up like who Tom Cruise is, what kind of work he does. And it's just, it's so like, I don't even know, like, you don't, I mean, obviously when you first watch the movie, you don't know what's going to happen. And like, it's pretty exciting and it's pretty intense, you know, like they do a really good job. Like, Brian De Palma is the director of this movie, and he does, I can't sell this hard enough, he is a master when it comes to building tension in these scenes and like actually, you know, making it feel like it's a very exciting moment. I just don't know, like, I don't know how he does it sometimes. So we have some pivotal scenes. Like, the opening scene is this, you know, this team is breaking into this embassy, and they're, you know, they want to extract this list from this computer. And it's like, the hilarious thing to me is like, especially like mid-90s movies with computers, is like, it's such a slap in the face. Like, they just knew people didn't know shit about computers, and they couldn't fucking make up enough bullshit about computers and just like act like they were, you know, it was really what happens, you know, like these emails that they have in this movie are just ridiculous. Like, they don't make any fucking sense whatsoever. And they would never like be able to send as real emails. And so after this opening heist, so to speak, we have this scene a little later on in the movie that's definitely the most popular scene of the movie, where they break into the CIA, and, you know, it's Tom Cruise that does the breaking in. They go, you know, and they break into this room, and he is, you know, trying to steal the other half of this list, and like, he's, so like, the big problem I have is like, they go through all the security measures that they have in place for this computer, and, or, you know, like, for this room that this computer is in, right? And, you know, it's one guy, you know, it's like, there's a retina scan, there's voice activated commands at the door, and then like inside, when the door's on, or when the room is on lockdown, like, there's pressure sensors everywhere, and there's there's like sound, like microphones, like if you hit a certain decibel level, it would, set off the alarm, things like that. And so like they've got to break into this room while it's on lockdown. And the thing is like, okay, there's a couple of things that bother me. You take the fact that, okay, there's the decibels and there's the pressure sensitive, but there's not a single video camera in this fucking room. Are you shitting me? Like, and like the other thing is the computer still functions when the room is on lockdown. Like, how could you not make it so it would automatically lock you out of the computer and say, like, you can't be in here. We haven't, your security code hasn't been entered at the door. Like, just shit like that, like, drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. But it's all in all a very suspenseful scene of them breaking into the CIA. It's a very cool scene. A lot of the stuff they do is really convenient. Like, they're banking on the habits of this guy being so rigid that, like, they know exactly when to, like, do things to distract him or, whatever. And it doesn't add up. So everything is just timed perfectly. But then, so like, as the movie progresses, like, you start to find out more things, and towards the end of the movie, there's this big chase scene with a helicopter and a train, and it's pretty cool, albeit ridiculously, like, not realistic, I would say. But there's so much computer stuff. Like, the big other thing is the big urban myth about, like, tracing a phone call, like trying to trace a phone call. They always, like in this movie, they suggest that it's 30 seconds that you have to be on the phone with the person you're talking to trace their line. And according to everything I've ever heard anywhere, that's just, like, completely untrue. Like, it takes, like, a few seconds to just trace a line and figure out where it's at. I mean, it's kind of like, this is in the age of caller ID, where it's like, when somebody's calling you, who is calling, within a second, as soon as the call starts coming in, who's calling you. But this movie, it's got a Danny Elfman score, which is really well done, of course, because it's Danny fucking Elfman. And then one thing I will say about this movie is I almost felt like it needed to be rated R. Not that I thought the movie itself should have gotten an R rating. It's that I think that they should have made the movie with a plan to have it be rated R all along, and then there could be other scenes, because, like, there's supposed to be, like, a romantic thing between Ethan Hunt and this other the only female character that's, like, consistently in this movie. It's like it barely even gets alluded to. It's like they say it and they kind of act like it, but it's like it's not there. And I think just, like, even like a PG-13 sex scene would have been something, but it was like, no, like, they didn't even do that. So it was like, I gotta ding it for that. It's not ideal. So as much as I love, as much as I love the movie, like, I do have, those kinds of gripes about it now in retrospect, looking back, saying, oh, okay, this is kind of bullshit. So the budget of this movie in 1996 was $80 million, 80. And the revenue, the worldwide gross, I guess you would say, is $457.7 million, which is pretty fucking good, by the way. It has a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a pretty solid rating. I think, it probably is less high because of the things I've mentioned, because, some people are even bigger sticklers about it than I am. I just, but it's a good, and I mean, it's on Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 66% from the critics and then 71% from the audience. So that's certified fresh, that's solid. That's pretty decent, I mean, it's not amazing, it's not overwhelmingly unanimous or anything, but it's good. It's only 110 minutes, which honestly, like, if I would have had to guess, I would have guessed this movie was longer. Not because, like, it's slow or something, but because it just seems like a lot of shit happens in this movie for it to only be, an hour and 50 minutes. And, I mean, I would say, personally, for Mission Impossible 1, I would recommend seeing it. If you haven't seen the first Mission Impossible, you really need to check it out. And just because it's a lot more basic, it's a lot less over the top than some of these ones that have come out in previous years. I mean, the last decade, they've done quite a few of these Mission Impossible movies, and they've all been, like, as, action-packed as you could ask them to be, and they're, like, less on, like, the sneaking and the gadgetry type stuff. But I still really enjoy this movie, and I still revisit it from time to time. Probably not as much as I used to when I was a kid, but it's solid. I love it. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, like, for me, I would say 4.5 out of 5 stars. That's how I rate things. I would say that's the best rating I can give you. But I would like to, I think I've covered all my bases in Mission Impossible 1. Let's move on to the year 2000 with Mission Impossible 2. So, in this movie, I must mention, first and foremost, we get a long-haired Tom Cruise. This was in his, like, Vanilla Sky days, he just had this hairstyle. Magnolia, I think he had the same hairstyle. So I want to mention this part of the movie before I get too far. So there's a scene in the beginning of this movie where Tom Cruise is rock climbing, and, like, it's a pretty well-known thing that, like, Tom Cruise does pretty much all of his own stunts, and he's, like, climbing this rock formation, and he gets to the top of this, spoiler alert, he gets to the top, but he gets to the top, and this helicopter shows up, and they like point this, like, what looks like a bazooka basically at him, and they shoot this little tiny dinky rocket, and it hits the ground near Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise goes over and, like, disassembles it. And there's an actual, like, pair of sunglasses in there. And they've got little earpiece parts on them. And it's kind of hilarious, like, because, I mean, like, that's still pretty cool by today's standards, like, I mean, like, I have seen those kinds of headphones, like, sunglasses with headphones attached. And they're kind of nifty, but they're also, like, I would just wear my headphones on top of my sunglasses. Like, I wouldn't do that. Anyway, so this movie, like, they use these sunglasses as a device for delivering Tom Cruise his mission briefing. And he puts on the sunglasses and he can watch this, like, video readout. It's very cool. It's still cool by today's standards, I argue. Having, like, being able to do that, and, like, it feels like it inspired those, like, Google Glass things that they had years ago. But when he goes to get these sunglasses, he is just like, like, he's, like, so smugly reacting to it. It's like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, it's so annoying, like, watching him interact with this thing. Like, it's just like, just fucking grab the sunglasses, Tom. Like, just fucking do it. Don't make a big, shtick about it. So, this movie, I'll say, now that I've gotten that out of the way about the opening, well, the first Tom Cruise scene, or one of the first Tom Cruise scenes, it's directed by a director named John Woo, and I don't know a ton of John Woo movies. I think I've only seen one. Oh, no. I've seen two. So he made the movie Broken Arrow with Christian Slater and John Travolta. And he also has a movie that is like it's like a Chinese film, I think, or a Korean film. I can't remember. I hate to sound racist, but I honestly can't remember if it was, I want to say it was Chinese. And like, John Woo, the movie I know is called Hard Boiled, and it's got Chow Yun-fat, who is in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And so all I remember about Hard Boiled is that it takes place, like, the end, like the final act of the movie takes place in this hospital, and like there's like this giant shootout, and Chow Yun-fat is like he has a baby, like he's holding a baby, and he is having this gunfight, and it's in this fucking hospital with all this fucking chaos going on, and there's a fucking baby. It's ridiculous. So what he does it like to a disgusting degree in this movie, is he uses a lot of slow-mo, and he uses a lot of doves, which I know doves are symbolic and blah, 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 but like, I don't know if they have a greater meaning for John Woo or something, but like, it's constantly happening that like, the doves are here and there, not too overwhelming, but they're kind of distracting and weird. But like the slow motion in this movie, I mean the movie is like 2 hours 4 minutes, and I feel like without slow motion, if it was played at regular speed, it'd be like 92 minutes tops. Like, it is so much fucking slow-mo. I'm exaggerating, of course, but like, there are times where it's like, there's a scene where Tom Cruise is jumping out of a helicopter, and he is, there's a cable spool in the helicopter, and like, they show the spool unspooling, and it like is in slow-mo, and they do it, and it's like the slow motion makes it feel so, like, it doesn't even look right, like it's confusing to look at in slow motion, because you're used to seeing those in regular motion, and it's terrible. But like, I guess like, there are some scenes where it's okay, like you could have done it and it would have been fine, but it's not like, it's not necessary. Like, you can construct a compelling action scene without having slow-mo every fucking step of the way. And like, there's a lot more, like I mentioned in the last movie, there's a lot of masks in this movie, but they have the addition of like these voice modulator things, like these little like plastic microchip strips that they put on their neck at like Adam's apple level, and they like are supposedly like changing the person's voice to sound like the person they're wearing the mask of, and like there are a ton of, like, they utilize the masks heavily here, And, like, it's so terrible how much they fucking do it. Like, it gets to the point where it's just like, if this isn't a mask, I'm going to be surprised. Like, it's not like I'm going to be blown away by anything I see. It's just, it is what it is. But like, the thing about the voice modulator type thing is, like, they also did this in Scream 3, and it's, like, a pretty well-known thing, I guess, that, like, this technology does not exist. Like, you cannot take you don't, there's no machine out there that you can just, like, obviously there are, like, voice changing machines, you know, like auto-tune and shit like that, too. But, like, there are not machines that can emulate the sound of another person's voice exactly. Like, I don't know that they could even get close, but, like, to my knowledge, there is not one in existence, and it drives me absolutely insane that that's how they, you know, like, how they get by, like, you know, being more tricky, and it's ridiculous. And, like, there are scenes in this movie where they'll, like, slap a mask on somebody, and they'll have, like, pulled that fucking mask out of thin air, and it's like, I already talked about, like, how obvious it would be if somebody was just wearing a mask over their face, but, like, because, like, you would, at the very least, know it was a mask, right? So it's like, that's where I'm at with it. So the plot of the movie, without giving too much away, is, like, about, like, a bioweapon, like, somebody releasing a virus, or, you know, like, wanting to release a virus, and, you know, basically, like, they have to stop them from doing that. It's not a terrible plot. Like, you know, it keeps things interesting, I guess. And then, like, so I should probably mention some of these other cast members. I didn't start off with them because they're either so minor or they're so not well-known names. But, like, okay, so we got Dougray Scott, who is the bad guy in this movie, and apparently the only movie I can really think of that he's been in is the movie Ever After with Drew Barrymore. I never saw that movie. I seem to remember one of, like, the evil stepsisters. I seem to remember one of them being really attractive, but I can't remember if it was. But anyway, I didn't want to delve into Ever After's IMDb page that much, so I just kind of moved on. Dougray Scott is not very good in this movie. Like, his acting is subpar, I guess. Like, I mean, just some of his line deliveries, I just kind of felt like, man, that doesn't really feel like much, you know, you're not really doing much for me. One person I completely, because I used to watch this movie a lot too, and, you know, but it was like, you know, I was like 14, 15 when it came out, and I thought it was really cool, and, you know, all this shit, and, like, I obviously love the first one, but, like, an actor that I completely forgot was in this movie is Brendan Gleeson, who plays most popularly Mad-Eye Moody, I think is his name, in the Harry Potter movies. And he also is in one of my all-time favorites, In Bruges, which is Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. I honestly cannot recommend In Bruges. It's INBRUGES. It is, I love it. I cannot get enough of it. It's such a great fucking movie. I know not everybody agrees with me, but, like, I want to say I love it. So, you know, Brendan Gleeson, he's pretty minor in this movie. Anthony Hopkins is in this movie, but it's very brief, which is why I didn't mention him sooner. I mean, obviously he played Hannibal Lecter in, like, The Silence of the Lambs and all the other ones that he was in. He's Odin in the Thor movies, and he's also the original Zorro in The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas. And okay, so the actress in this movie, who is, by the way, super attractive, her name is Tandiwe Newton. And I always was confused by her name because I had to look up the pronunciation on Wikipedia. It's Thandiwe, and it's I had always seen it misspelled without the W, and I just thought it was Tandy, but it's Tandiwe Newton. I put in my notes super hot, and then I put she's in Westworld. Okay, pretty solid show. I only watched the first season or two, I think. She was the mom in The Pursuit of Happiness that has Will Smith in it. She was in Solo, the Star Wars prequel film about Han Solo that I could take or leave as a movie. I actually have a copy of it because my friend Lance gave me his digital copy when he bought the movie. And I was like, yeah, sure, why the fuck not? And she's also in this movie called Gridlocked with Tim Roth and Tupac. And I don't remember anything about that movie other than she's naked in it, which is I'm starting to get into creepy territory right now, and I'm gonna stop. So back to the actual movie. So there is a motorcycle chase scene at the end of this movie that is ridiculous, slow-mo to the all-time max, and there is a scene where they're chasing, they're racing on motorcycles, and they're you see several shots of their tires, and then they show a very, very in-your-face shot of them landing on a beach, and the motorcycle comes in over the camera, and the tires on the vehicle have changed into off-road tires. Yeah. And so they have this big fight on the beach, and there's a scene where Tom Cruise almost gets stabbed in the eye, and there's this super close-up slow-mo shot, and I'm just shut the fuck up already. Just get it the hell over with. And these fucking doves just keep showing up out of nowhere, just, fluttering around and shit. And so there's I can't talk too much about it, but there is a scene where a guy is in, you don't know you're not supposed to know what's going on, so I won't even fucking go there, guys. Just suffice it to say, it has to do with masks, and it is fucking absurd. If you've ever seen this movie and you want to ask me about that sometime, I will gladly explain to you what I was talking about, but it's just too stupid. So the one thing, with Tandiwe Newton and Tom Cruise in this movie, I mean, they're essentially a couple, it's not even in the first movie where, it's hinted that Tom Cruise was with this girl or whatever. It's no, they're straight up together, and Dougray Scott's, supposedly her ex or whatever. But it's I find it funny that every spy movie, it's no spy apparently can be just straight up monogamous, they can't just lock it down with one chick and have her in the do audiences get that bored that easily? I'm not. So I love James Bond movies, and the only reason I would be disappointed if he didn't change girls is because I'm expecting it at this point. But if you did actual character development of those Bond girls, it'd be amazing. But it's they do the same thing here in Mission Impossible. They don't seem to grasp the concept of having all of these extra any emphasis on building up this female character for a romantic lead. And so, by the next movie, he's just moved on to somebody else. And, I think maybe in this series of films, I think Michelle Monaghan shows up. And then, I think she's actually around for, more than one movie, but I'm not positive. So, this movie had a budget of $125 million. It had a worldwide gross of $546.4 million. It is at a pretty dismal 6.1 on IMDb. It's 57% for critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a 42% audience rating, which kind of surprised me. I would have thought it would have been flip-flopped. I would have thought it would have been higher with the audience, but apparently not. As I mentioned, it's 2 hours, 4 minutes, and it actually kind of, I won't lie, despite all the slow-mo, it breezes along. It moves, I never felt like I was, hung up on, good God, when the fuck is this going to be over? You know what I mean? At least it had that going for it. But honestly, I would say, unless you want to watch this movie just to make fun of it, which is totally acceptable, I would say pass on it. Don't bother. It sparked quite a few parodies. I think Scary Movie 2 did a bit or two on it, and it's just, the movie itself is so stupid. It's just all of the slow-mo, the acting's not that great, or whenever the acting is good, it's because Brendan Gleeson has a very small role. I would have rather seen, ooh, that's a fucking solid idea. I would have rather have seen Brendan Gleeson be the villain in this movie and have there be I don't know, a different connection. Dougray Scott could still be in it, but he'd be, the lead henchman or something. I don't know. But for the most part, I would say I can't recommend this movie. I would rank this 2.5 stars out of 5. It's not that great, guys. I don't love it. And it's not what it was when I was 14. So I hope that kind of explains it for you. It's one of the first movies I ever had on DVD, though, which is exciting. So yeah, that was Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2. To be a completionist, I guess if you're watching the Mission Impossible movies all in order, you could watch the second one, and you wouldn't be too pissed off that you did. But, you will recognize some of the stupid things that I've talked about here. And, I also, I haven't watched any of the other ones in such a long time. I saw the Fallout one, but, I don't remember 3 through whatever they're on right now, 7 or whatever. I don't remember almost anything about them. I remember Philip Seymour Hoffman in Mission Impossible 3, but I don't think I'll revisit this film series unless I'm 600 episodes deep and I'm that bored, I run out of movies. But for the most part, I would say yeah, like I said, don't worry about checking out number 2 if you don't. It's a real number 2 at times. So, yeah, so that's all I got for this week. If you have something that you hear in this podcast that, you want something to be different, you want, changes to be made, feel free to comment on, when I share the post, and just let me know, hey, this is, how I feel about this, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just kind of delve into it and, see if I can make it happen. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Brandon at Random Reviews is performed, written, directed, produced, and edited by Brandon Griffiths. Theme music is performed by Augusto Diniz from FAVS.